Welcome to Dark Sorcery. I'm Alfredo Martinez, and I have with me once again the one and only Sutekh, member of the Dark Sorcery team. Sutekh, it's good to have you back on.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Today we're going to be talking about crystals. You know, Sutekh, he specializes in crystals. First of all, what I want to go ahead and put out there is there's a lot of people in the occult community, witchcraft community, that like to say that crystals are for love and light, but I mean, they can be used for cursing just as well. As much as some witches may not want to admit that, you know, a quartz can amplify a curse just as much as it can a blessing. What do you think about that, Sutekh?
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. This quartz is really known for generating and focusing intent. So whatever your intent is, it's more about the will of the operator. When people want to separate and kind of dichotomize things, in nature, things in nature are what they are. We're the ones with the black and white perspective. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it definitely is really about focusing and generating intent, and whatever that intent is will be magnified. Same thing with a lot of black stones that are considered protective, that absorb negativity. You still got to purge it, or it's just full of negativity. So you could use it as a weapon to send negativity to people, your pain, your suffering, whatever you use, the illnesses you've used, you know what I'm saying, to charge your stone with. You still have to dissipate it. People will have these stones for years and never, clean them, never bury them, never cleanse them.
I think people underestimate the importance of cleansing your stones.
Yeah.
Because like a magnet, they can attract and carry a lot of different kinds of energy, especially when you do, botanicas and metaphysical shops. There's so many people that have been picking up and handling those crystals.
Right.
And especially people who are into the paranormal and supernatural. You don't know what kind of energy they've been messing with. Some of that can rub off on there, and then you take it home, and then you wonder why the energies might seem confused in it. You might maybe have some bad stuff happening. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. You definitely get adverse effects from getting stuff, even from people that you know. Regardless, we send out a lot of reliquary stones and gems and necklaces and things like that. And whenever we send it to people, we always encourage that they clean them. We do a cleansing ceremony and a charging ceremony right before we send them out, and we still encourage that people clean them when they get them from us. Doesn't matter who it is. It's like I said, like intent's a very powerful thing, and there's a lot of unconscious individuals that are walking around that have wild intent, and they don't actually realize that they do.
Well, I mean, the thing about energy is that with focus and intent, you can put energy into just about anything. I mean, like with crystals, like I'll give an example. Like, let's say if you're at a restaurant and a chef, whoever the chef is, came with some problems and he's upset about something, and he's handling the dough and netting the dough. And if he's thinking about what he's frustrated and angry about, that energy is going to go into the food, into the dough. You know what I mean? And then you get served it, and then all of a sudden, not too long after you eat it, you start arguing with your partner, or you just get an attitude. And then she literally turns to you and says, well, what got into you? Well, I'll tell you what got into him is that, that the transfer of energy. And it's the same way with crystals. While you're handling crystals, you can put all kinds of energy and intent in there. It will stay in there. Yeah. A lot of people just overlook that.
Right. There are certain stones that are self-cleaning, like citrine. The speed and the vibration of citrine. Citrine isn't very much off from amethyst. It's a heat difference in its formation. But once citrine comes in contact with a lot of different stones, and its vibration is so rapid and moving up that it'll cleanse itself, and it cleanses things around it. Selenite's another one that's known for cleansing things around it. Amethyst will purify the auric emanation, and something that I wanted to mention about a couple of the things that we're going to talk about today is expanding the aura, but also repairing the aura, because in order for these stones to work properly, it's like having a weakened immune system versus, being healthy. Like, you can still come in contact with a lot of this like low and lesser type of energy off of people, and it just bounce off of you because of where you've been fortifying yourself or the type of things that you work with and what you carry. Amethyst is premier for cleansing, detoxing the auric emanation, and certain stones, like a couple of the ones we're going to talk about today, they will push out the auric emanation and make it wider.
Yeah, definitely. And one stone that we wanted to mention is moldavite. So let's talk a bit about that. I mean, well, first of all, let me just not to go back to amethyst. You mentioned amethyst. It can help clear the confusion. Like, so for positive and negative, it can clear confusion, but you can use it to make somebody confused as well.
Absolutely. So it does a really great job at enhancing your psychic ability. Any type of latent gift, anything intuitively based, it'll enhance it. So if you're like a person who does visualization, or you're a manifester, you speak words into existence very well. Working with a piece of amethyst, you gotta be careful what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Be careful what you're thinking about, because you can make it, you could make it come way quicker than expected. And that's how people get results that they don't really intend to get.
Especially for someone who likes to carry one in their pocket, like a lot of people do. They got to be conscious of when they're carrying that, what they say. Amethyst can cause, prosperity, but it can also cause somebody to become so prosperous they become selfish and greedy.
Right. It can help you. It can help you develop psychosis. Definitely develop psychosis working with something.
You got to stay grounded.
Right. It's not. Yeah, it's not too hard to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So moldavite. Moldavite, it was used in ancient times as a talisman. It can bring good fortune, fertility, but it can also enhance other crystals. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of what they consider a premier stone for awakening. It works with the heart chakra and the chakra medians in the body. They're separated at the heart. The heart is the division point, and there's a gland above the heart called the thymus. And moldavite specifically interacts with the thymus. So it can bridge if someone's blocked and they're living in a root chakra state where they're constantly like worried about food and worried about where they're going to live and how long they have to live and things like that. It can move their energy from that place into their crown or into their heart. And with strong intention, it can magnify the effects of stones in the vicinity, stones that you're physically working with, all sorts of things. It interacts with metals and plants pretty well too.
One thing I will say about moldavite is it can help you connect with your higher self and communicate with your higher self. So, I just did a video yesterday with somebody where, we're talking about contact. I said, if you're having a hard time finding your spiritual way, contact your higher self, because it's there waiting for you to ask it, for help. You can have this moldavite on you when you do that. And for those of you who do believe in extraterrestrials, it can help you connect with them as well. Some people believe in them, some people don't. But for those who do, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah. Yes. Prime and spirit contact. It's prime in accelerating astral travel and the separation from the body. So if you're someone who experiences sleep paralysis and you can't achieve the separation because you can't surpass the paralysis, it'll help you push you through the paralysis. It enhances the effects of herbs and plants that you intake, psychedelic use. It's probably one of the best stones I've ever used.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's got a lot of good uses. One thing I would recommend when using moldavite is you can actually hold it up to the light and gaze into it. And what that's going to do is it's going to shift your consciousness. If anyone's having trouble with that, they can try that exercise, and that'll work. It also helps ease the ascension process of ourselves. But you got to be careful because it can leave you spaced out and rootless. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I recommend, because we do reliquary, we're coppersmiths, but having some type of mineral, some type of precious metal will definitely help ground it, and you get different results working with copper and silver and gold with the mold. And you can use it for different goals. In marriage, for example, using moldavite with gold, and you can have it in a ring. You could have it on an altar above the bed, but it really helps that the paths align to people so that they end up on a shared path. It might take off of what your initial individual path would have been to put you on a new path with another person, and it helps you stay bonded and stay connected and find deeper levels of understanding, even without so much being communicated, verbalized. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I would recommend is using clear quartz to stabilize the effects of moldavite.
There's a quartz too. It's a quartz that's actually found in Moldova, where they dig these up from that site. It's called Moldau quartz, and it stabilizes the intensity of it, so it slows down the vibration of it. Because when you come in contact with a piece of moldavite, usually a lot of people who have a strong connection, even if you don't really have a strong connection with stones, you'll feel like the moldavite almost picked you out, like you found a special one, something that really called out to you. Right. And what it is, it learns your vibration, it learns your specific frequency, and it matches it, and then it starts to bring yours up to its consciousness. And that's where the rapid ascension and the rapid elevation of awareness starts to stem from: self-awareness and self-discovery and all that. And when you use this type of quartz, this Moldau quartz, it creates a coating around your emanation. That does is it allows information to stick to it.
Okay, that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, so your morphogenic field. So the morphogenic field is the radial force that's coming off of your aura. And that's when you come in contact with plants and animals. They're all in the two-dimensional kingdom. That level of consciousness, they are sending you information from the world surrounding us, the world surrounding reality, and it allows deities to make contact with you, which is one of the reasons why witches will use cats as mediums, mediumship between them and the spirit world, and different aspects of it. The cats broaden their consciousness, and when they're close enough, they start receiving downloads of information.
Cats can be useful. I mean, if you wanted to place a spell on someone, you can kind of put it on the cat, and then the cat will kind of rub it off on the person when they go near them. That's another reason why witches like to use cats. There's a lot of uses for them. But you mentioned about receiving messages from deities. One thing you can do is you can place the moldavite on your throat, and it makes it easier to receive messages from other realms. Kind of it'll just flow. You can also put it on your third eye, and it can help you with divination. So it can help you see into the future. So one thing I can recommend, take for instance, if you're reading tarot, you can take a piece of moldavite and then put it in a headband, on your third eye, And while you're reading the cards, the message, the readings will come more clear. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I used to wear, I don't know if you remember, I had a couple pairs of glasses.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was wired right here. Yeah, definitely agree with that. I use Moldavite in that same way with phenakite. And phenakite, it's it magnifies prophecy and inner vision and visualization. It's really like good for that. Using it with Moldavite, it's almost scary how well they work together.
Yeah. You know, what's also scary is it can help you see your past lives. You know, for anyone who's wants to look into past lives, you know, just put some Moldavite on your third eye and it'll come through clear.
I've learned that Moldavite can be used in a very intense way in Malefica for creating, directing energy and creating a way that the energy can't be dispelled. So the energy and the lessons and the problems that will arise with any form of Malefica, even if it's like down to like astral weapons and things like that, but any form of Malefica that is done with it, it ends up aligning with the person's overall like life purpose. So it's something that can't escape. They have to confront it. They have to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really
I definitely agree with that. And then Tibetan black quartz. That's something else that was on the list to talk about, because Tibetan black quartz, you know, would you agree that it can help you access the Akashic records?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It helps you, it deepens your meditative states and it helps you get to a place of stillness. It resonates with that undertone frequency that exists beneath everything, the sound of creation. You can hear it in silence, but that hum, you know, the monks in Tibet, they chant Om. Some of the more prominent experiences of like the rainbow bodies and the light bodies being achieved here on Earth happen in those regions, Himalayas and places like that. But that frequency and that overall resonance of creation allows you to access that point. It's what they call Zep-Tepi, or the 0 point. It allows you to access that point of nothingness, and that's where the Akashic records exist. So being able to perceive what could possibly happen, because nothing is set in stone when you're looking into the future. It's just based on the level of intent and the actions that you're taking towards a specific event. You can anything, and it gives you real clear understanding of how what you're experiencing now was created by what you've done in the past, who you were in the past, past incarnations, everything, what you've accumulated, skills and deficiencies, like
all the knowledge. The knowledge. It can also help with clairaudience. So if anyone's watching and you're having a hard time hearing what spirits are saying, it can help that come through. It can help you be able to hear them.
Yes.
Now let's talk about cinnabar.
I got some of that too right here.
Oh yeah, take a look at that.
So I'm going to be on the road, and if anybody knows and they come in contact with me, I have a whole bunch of these right now. I've been trying to get them into the world as much as possible. I got like over 350 pieces of Moldavite. I was just giving them away to people.
Yeah, so anyone who's on the West Coast who's watching.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
be all over the place. I'll be in Mexico. I'll be on the East Coast. I'll be all over the place the next couple months. So.
Yeah, you're going on tour. We'll talk a little bit about that later on, definitely. But yeah, cinnabar. Now cinnabar can help you be more persuasive. And for that reason, I would say it's good for a salesman to have on them. What do you think about that?
I agree, definitely. It accentuates mental acuity, and it's very mercurial, so it helps you, sharpen your tongue, that silver tongue speech, so to speak.
Yeah.
But your mind is very, very active and very, very on point. It's one of the stones that are premier in alchemy. It's one of the Grand Alchemy stones, and it's probably one of the most dangerous stones I've ever tried to work with.
Well, one reason it's dangerous is that it helps you push something, but not to be too aggressive. You know, it knows it'll just help you get in control like that. But I will say you might want to wash your hands after handling it a lot. It can be toxic potentially. So just as safety, just letting everybody know that. It has a way with fluency. Go ahead.
I was going to say you don't want to scratch it. You don't want dust off of it either. Dust inhalation could be fatal, or it can cause severe brain damage. So
yeah, be very, very cautious of that. Anyone who's having a problem with their weight, it can stabilize your weight. It can help you, give you the willpower to make those choices to get that in check. But also, if you're having issues with pregnancy, it can enhance fertility. And so for those who are having problems with, like, let's say, leukemia with their blood, it purifies the blood.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that. It's very powerful. It's very accelerating. If you're someone that's typically like colder, you have lower blood pressure, you'll definitely notice a difference in the circulation in your body. Hands will warm up. If you have shaky hands, you notice your hands will stabilize. A lot of ways that I've used it a lot in ritual to accelerate the magic that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
If I need really quick results, I'll definitely incorporate working with some specific energy signatures or deities and saints and different spirits.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really intense because the way that Cinnabar works with the third eye and the root chakra, the grounding connection is almost instantaneous. So you manifest things really quickly, and it's so scarily accurate. So you need to know exactly what you want, when you want it, how you want it, because it's very, very powerful. And actualizing and understanding things that commonly are not understood or generally not accepted in society is one of those stones that helps you convey that level of intellect and that level of information. So it's at least digestible, even to a skeptic. Really, really powerful for that.
Definitely. Now let's talk a bit about stibnite. Now, stibnite, it's the element that's associated with it is fire. So if someone is in need of willpower, stibnite can help them out with that. What do you think about that?
I agree. It's an antimony-based mineral. It's very, very, very potent for spell work. It's very, very potent for exacting your intentions. It works with a lot of plutonian energy, so it brings about very intense transformation.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say the transformation that's like the onset of someone's entire life being changed, over that type of thing. Like it catalyzes events like that.
It is the stone of change, but because it's also associated with the element of fire, it can be a power up in any of your spells.
Absolutely.
You can also just give your spell an extra kick. And it's got also its stibnite. One thing I will say is that it also can help with luck or chance. So if you go into a casino, it's good to have one on you. It increases your odds of winning. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely got a role of good fortune working with stibnite. Absolutely.
One thing I was going to bring up is tektites. Tektite stones, they can help you let go of the past. So someone who's having a hard time letting go of the past and moving on, tektite can help you out. You agree?
Absolutely, yeah. Because it was like we talked about before, having access to that 0 point, that point of stillness, and having the Akashic records, use your own accumulation. I definitely believe that tektites in general, lachitellarite, the Libyan desert glass, moldavite, Tibetan Tektite, the Angimani from Indonesia, Indochina, all those different types, even the Darwinites. They're really good for helping someone work with their past life karma and resolving the past life karma so they can step into their dharma and their life's purpose. A lot of people who are thresholding the age of 30 to like 33, that area of life, they just came out of a Saturn return, and now their nodes are shifting positions. So now all the attention is no longer on the south node. It's going to be shifting towards the north node. And when it was all focused on the south node, you're thinking about all the ways that, the life, you're attached to this energy from the life that you had before. So you're maybe were like affluential and you had all this money and you had status and you had, wealth. But in this life, you're suffering and no one knows who you are. Nobody gives a fuck. And that's because that's your past life karma. Based on how you used that status and that wealth and all of that is how you experience it in the following life. And that's just the experience of the South Node. And once you get past that pinnacle point of 30, you reach accessing the North Node, and the Tektites help you decipher, where the baggage is coming from, what you need to, let go of, what you've been carrying, like what's in your family.
Right. No, that I did not know about it, that being carried on into the next life. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and that cycle, a lot of the karma that you've been enacting throughout life, and like in this incarnation, it doesn't start to pick up with you until you pass your 30s. The whole time before, you were still dealing with an accumulation from your previous life, karmic debt. And that's why it feels uncomfortable. And that's why you have to struggle with learning who you are, because you're still trying to forget part of that predetermined idea of who you are. You know what I'm saying? And people live into this character and you're trying to fight against it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're trying to grow past it. So when you hit 30 and you step into what they call the dharmic phase, you're starting to discover your purpose and your own personal will and like what you want to do and the direction your life is moving in now. What you have
I think that's why a lot of people, even when they're in their 30s, some people are unsure of where they want to, or where they want to go in life, or maybe they just barely made up their minds.
Yeah.
Because really in their 20s, no one really knows for sure what they want and which direction they're going wholeheartedly.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You're still figuring things out. Another thing about Tektites is that they can help with telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you're sick, it can help reduce fever.
Yes.
You can have one of those stones on you if you have a fever, and you'll heal faster.
Yes. The Tibetan Black Quartz works really synergistically with them in that regard too. If you have like pain in your body, you could wrap yourself up in a blanket, or I think it'd be easier to get into like a sleeping bag, for example. And put the black Tibetan Black Quartz and the Tibetan Tektite at the bottom of the bag at your feet, and it'll dissipate a lot of your illness overnight.
That's a good suggestion. That's very smart. One thing that I was going to have you speak on is using tarot and the crystals together. And there were some things that you wanted to speak on about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Quartz, for one. We always talk about how amazing quartz is. And there's so many different kinds, and there's so many different formations, have many different faces, windows, all that. But quartz is a very magical stone. And when you're working with the tarot, quartz can provide a lot of clarity and understanding the messages that are coming through. It can help you if you are looking for a certain answer. It'll show you, exactly what you want to know and what you need to know. You know what I mean? I think that Moldavite and I want to say there's a stone called Scholasite. Scholasite and Moldavite, when working with the tarot, is a very nice combination to work with, because no matter how hard it is or how intense it is, or what you're going through or whatever, the messages come through very gently. It could be the worst news that you're ever going to get. but it's going to come through very gently. As far as keeping up with other people and everything, I think Moldavite's very helpful in that regard too. Using the tarot to work with astrological transits. Cinnabar is very good for that. Cinnabar is one of the reasons why I mentioned it, is because Cinnabar is like, it's like the astral weather report. Like there'll be a retrograde coming and it's going to affect you intensely. You'll know, feel it, all that, whatever. And Cinnabar will rapidly put you through everything that you could experience during the retrograde in like a couple days. And then you're just coasting through the retrograde. You basically, got all the information and all the downloads of everything that was coming. You know what I'm saying? It works alongside with what you pulled on your cards.
No, I didn't. That's cool because I didn't know about the retrograde thing that you just spoke on with Moldavite.
Yeah, it's intense. It's very applicable in tarot for sure. I think, because there's some of us that if you read the natal chart, some of us were born while the planets were in retrograde. So when the retrogrades happen, we start to internalize a lot, and we deal with everything on a very intense internal level. It's not very external. How a lot of people will be experiencing, like, oh, my car keeps breaking down, my computer keeps crashing, whatever. But there'll be times where, like, it's more like, oh, you're having communication issues with loved ones, and you know what you mean, you know what you're trying to say, but they can't hear you. And, like, things about self-worth and self-value and, just your health and your well-being and things like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, your mastery, your self-development, all of it, it starts to become a very loud conversation, you know what I'm saying? And the more you entertain the conversation, the more you'll start seeing it in your day-to-day. And Moldavite will enhance those experiences. It's like, you get a tarot spread, sometimes you really see, like, everything word for word spot on happen right in front of you. But then there are other times where you're like, not too attached to it. You forget about it. It's fleeting.
Yeah.
You're using Moldavite, synchronistic. It's like the walls are talking.
It's a very underrated stone. I can't say that enough.
Sure.
Now, Sutekh, you've put up some hip hop stuff on Dark Sorcery. Really good. Everybody loves it. But you're also in a band and you're about to go on tour. Let's go ahead and tell us a bit about what we can expect from you musically as of right now and in the near future.
I'm doing a lot of different things with music right now. I'm currently in about 15 different projects. Most of them are international, so I've been able to work with a lot of different people all over the world, which is kind of how I landed this gig. But I got a hip hop album coming out at the end of this year.
Oh shit!
Produce,
yeah.
Kind of like in quiet, so it's like my first time really talking about it. But I got some pretty cool stuff planned out for that. And then I'm going on tour with this band, Esophagus. They're based out of Chile. They're a brutal death metal band, and the genre is mostly centered around how disgusting the vocals sound. And it's more, centered around like the guttural vocals and like a hip hop style groove to the music.
Okay.
Really blast beats, stuff like that. It's been quite the experience. I've been doing this for over 15 years, and I'm finally now starting to get some recognition. So it feels really good,
Yeah, one thing I do like about you is that you're very creative musically. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that.
But yeah, man, that's been a nice little conversation we've had about crystals. Everybody, check out his Sutekh's YouTube channel, Infernal Current.
Yes.
There's a lot of good stuff on there. You can, watch some of his music videos. You can watch him in the studio. I think he even talks a bit about crystals also on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, there'll be links below in the video description. You can check out all his social media links and his music stuff. Sutekh, thanks once again for your time. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Yes, and from one Dark Sorcery team member to another Dark Sorcery team member, everybody who's watching, like and subscribe to Dark Sorcery.